As a brain doctor, I am truly shocked by how many people over 60 have made bottled vitamin waters part of their daily routine.
On the label, these drinks are marketed as sources of vitamins, as something good for your health, even promising to keep you alert and youthful. But behind that glossy image lies a serious concern. These drinks are quietly pushing your brain closer to Alzheimer's disease.
What the advertisements never mention is that each bottle contains only trace amounts of vitamins.
While being loaded with added sugars and artificial sweeteners, over time, these ingredients drive up inflammation, increase oxidative stress, and weaken nerve cells. This is one of the fastest pathways to brain degeneration and memory decline.
The good news is that this risk is completely avoidable.
In today's talk, I'll explain why so-called vitamin waters are dangerous for the brain after 60, the hidden mechanisms that make them harmful to memory, and most importantly, which safer alternatives you can choose to protect your brain.
If staying sharp and preserving memory matters to you, make sure to watch until the end.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with friends, and leave a comment below. Are you drinking bottled vitamin water every day?
The first reality we need to face is that the actual vitamin content in so-called vitamin waters is surprisingly low.
From the name alone, people imagine these bottles as rich vitamin sources like drinking. One could replace a serving of fruit. But the truth is the opposite. If you look closely at the ingredient label, you'll see that each bottle usually contains only a tiny fraction of the daily requirement. Sometimes just a few percent. That amount is far too small to make any meaningful difference for brain health. For example, the vitamin C in one bottle may equal only 1/10 of what you'd get from a small orange. The B vitamins are also minimal, not enough to drive the energy production that nerve cells rely on. The problem is in the marketing itself. The word vitamin tricks people into believing they are drinking something nourishing, something that will boost memory, fight fatigue, and even replace fresh fruit. In reality, they are taking in only trace amounts of vitamins, alongside large amounts of added sugar or artificial sweeteners. The very enemies of brain health. A report from the Harvard School of Public Health analyzed most of the enhanced waters and flavored waters sold on the market and concluded that they provide negligible amounts of vitamins compared to the body's daily needs, while packing far too much sugar and additives. In other words, the harm outweighs the good. To see the contrast clearly, think of a simple comparison. A small fresh apple provides about 8 to 10% of daily vitamin C needs, plus fiber, flavonoids, and natural minerals. A bottle of vitamin water may advertise fortified with vitamin C, but the real amount is far lower, and it offers none of the fiber or natural antioxidants that fruit provides. Drinkers fall into what I call the illusion trap, believing they are protecting their brain, when in fact they are missing the true benefits of natural foods. I have met many patients over 60 who admitted they cut back on fruit and instead drank a bottle of vitamin water every day, thinking it was more convenient yet just as nutritious. But when we checked their blood levels, they were deficient in vitamin C, vitamin B6, and folate nutrients that are critical for healthy brain function. This proves that relying on vitamin water is a serious mistake. The brain ends up undernourished, while the body carries the burden of excess sugar and additives. From a biological standpoint, the brain is the hungriest organ in the body. Each day, it needs B vitamins to generate energy, vitamin C and vitamin E to fight free radicals, and a steady supply of minerals to maintain nerve signaling. When all it receives is the token amount from a bottle of vitamin water, it cannot function smoothly. Over time, that cumulative shortfall contributes to memory decline. A 2021 study in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease also found that older adults with lower blood levels of vitamin C and folate were at higher risk of cognitive decline. The message is clear if we skip natural sources like fruits and vegetables and rely only on bottled vitamin waters. The risk of Alzheimer's grows even greater.
If the vitamins in bottled vitamin waters are too little to be useful, what shows up in the highest amounts and does the most harm is added sugar.
This is what turns a drink that looks healthy into a silent threat to the brain after 60. A single bottle of vitamin water can contain anywhere from 15 to 30 grams of sugar, the equivalent of 3 to 6 teaspoons. For older adults, that is no small amount. When sugar enters the bloodstream too quickly, blood sugar spikes sharply and then crashes just as fast. This roller coaster pattern deprives brain cells of steady energy, leaving the mind foggy, focus harder to maintain, and memory more fragile. The Framingham Heart Study, published in Alzheimer's and Dementia in 2017, found that people who consumed more sugary drinks, including sweetened vitamin waters, had smaller brain volumes and poorer memory than those who consumed less. The study highlighted that sugar is not only linked to obesity and diabetes, but also directly tied to brain shrinkage and Alzheimer's risk. Here's how sugar causes damage. When blood sugar stays high too often, insulin has to work overtime to move it into cells. Over time, the body becomes less sensitive to insulin, a state known as insulin resistance. And this doesn't only happen in muscle, it also affects nerve cells. When the brain becomes insulin resistant, neurons struggle to use sugar for fuel. Scientists now refer to this as type 3 diabetes, a metabolic disturbance strongly connected to Alzheimer's disease. I've seen this firsthand in many patients over 60 who complain of memory slips, forgetting tasks they just did, or losing focus mid-conversation. When we reviewed their diets, many admitted to drinking vitamin waters or energy drinks regularly, believing these beverages gave them vitamins and energy. But blood tests showed signs of metabolic dysfunction, which directly explained why their brains were struggling. The concern goes further. Added sugar not only disrupts the brain's energy supply, but also drives inflammation. Each blood sugar spike generates free radicals and triggers inflammatory responses in blood vessels and brain tissue. Over time, chronic inflammation damages synapses of the connectors that allow nerve cells to communicate. As synapses weaken, memory and thinking ability steadily decline. Think of the brain like a lamp that needs a steady flow of electricity to shine. If the current keeps surging and dropping, the light flickers, sometimes bright, sometimes dim. That is exactly what happens when you keep drinking beverages loaded with added sugar. The brain never gets the steady energy it needs to function properly. And if added sugar is this dangerous, then surely artificial sweeteners and the sugar substitutes must be safer, right? Unfortunately, the answer is no.
When people begin to grow cautious about added sugar, they often turn to what seems like a safer alternative: artificial sweeteners.
On the label of vitamin waters, you might see names like aspartame, sucralose, or acesulfame K. These are marketed as zero-calorie and blood sugar friendly. It sounds convincing, but the reality is far from reassuring. The brain is highly sensitive to sweetness signals. When you taste something sweet, your body prepares for the arrival of real sugar, releasing insulin and triggering metabolic responses. But when the sweetness comes only from artificial sweeteners, the expected energy never arrives, leaving the system confused. Hunger and cravings can increase, blood sugar may become unstable, and in the end, the brain pays the price. A 2017 new study in Alzheimer's and dementia found that those who consumed more artificially sweetened drinks had triple the risk of stroke and dementia compared to those who drank less. The results were alarming, shattering the belief that sugar-free means safe for the brain. Artificial sweeteners also disrupt the gut microbiome. The gut and brain are closely linked through what's called the gut-brain axis. When the balance of beneficial bacteria is disturbed, the signals traveling between gut and brain are thrown off. The outcome can be poorer memory, unstable mood, and greater risk of neuroinflammation. A study published in Cell Metabolism in 2014 showed that mice fed sucralose for just 11 weeks had significant changes in gut bacteria, leading to insulin resistance and cognitive decline. I recall a patient in his mid-60s who avoided sugar to control his weight and switched to sugar-free vitamin waters every day. He thought it was the smarter choice. But after a few months, he began complaining of insomnia, memory lapses, and poor concentration. Once he removed artificial sweeteners completely and replaced them with water and mild herbal teas, his symptoms improved noticeably. There's another risk few people mention: oxidative stress. Artificial sweeteners can spark oxidative reactions in the brain, generating free radicals. These damage neurons, weaken synapses, and gradually reduce the brain's ability to learn and remember. It's like running your computer in a dusty, damp environment. The inner circuits wear out faster, even if the outside looks fine. The bottom line is this: artificial sweeteners do not support brain health. They only trick the taste buds, creating a false sense of security while quietly upsetting the brain's delicate balance. For people over 60 whose protective barriers are already weaker, these disruptions can leave long-lasting marks. And this brings us to the next underlying issue. It isn't just sugar or artificial sweeteners, it's the chronic inflammation and oxidative stress they cause that accelerate neurodegeneration. That is the next piece we need to explore together.
When we think about neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, most people immediately blame age or genetics.
But modern science shows that two hidden and much stronger forces are pushing the process forward: chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. And unfortunately, bottled vitamin waters with added sugars and artificial sweeteners act as the very catalysts that fuel both. Think of inflammation as a small flame in the brain. In a healthy body, that flame is controlled and even useful for defending against infection or injury. But when you keep consuming harmful drinks, the excess sugars and chemicals trigger inflammatory reactions over and over again. The small flame becomes a smoldering fire that never goes out. Over time, it destroys the structure of nerve cells and weakens synapses in the very connections where memories and learning are stored. Running alongside inflammation is oxidative stress. This is when free radicals are produced in excess, overwhelming the body's natural defenses. You can imagine free radicals as rusty shards of metal scraping against wires inside a machine. In the brain, this means cell membranes are damaged, DNA is mutated, and vital proteins become distorted. The result is nerve cells that can no longer send signals smoothly. Memory fades, and reactions slow. A 2020 study in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that people whose diets were heavy in sweetened and artificially flavored drinks had significantly higher levels of brain inflammation and oxidative stress. This helps explain why their risk of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia was so much higher. In real life, many older patients tell me they feel their brain drains out after drinking bottled sweetened drinks, including vitamin waters. They struggle to focus, grow irritable, and forget simple things. This isn't a coincidence. It's an early sign that inflammation and oxidative stress are already affecting their nervous system. The danger is that this process is silent. There are no sharp pains or dramatic symptoms to warn you. Instead, the brain is damaged little by little every day until the impact finally shows as memory decline or Alzheimer's. It's like a bridge slowly rusting year after year. You don't notice until one day it collapses. Inflammation and oxidative stress create the fertile ground on which Alzheimer's grows. And bottled vitamin waters, with their sugars and artificial chemicals, are pouring fuel onto that ground day after day. Unless we recognize it and change course, the consequences may arrive sooner than we think. From here, the key is not only knowing what harms the brain, but also finding safe alternatives that can both refresh and protect memory. And that is exactly what I will share with you in the next part.
Now that we've seen the darker side of bottled vitamin waters, from their tiny vitamin content, to the harmful added sugars, to the artificial sweeteners that fuel inflammation and oxidative stress, the natural question is, what can you drink that is truly safe and beneficial for the brain after 60?
The good news is that there are many simple, accessible, and healthier options. The first and most effective solution may sound almost too basic, but it is plain water. The brain is about 75% water, and even mild dehydration can leave you feeling tired, unfocused, and forgetful. Staying hydrated improves blood flow to nourish the brain and helps flush out metabolic waste. And if plain water feels bland, add a slice of lemon, orange, or a few fresh mint leaves. This gives a refreshing taste without any added sugar or chemicals. The second option is fresh fruit juice, but diluted. Fresh fruits deliver real vitamins, soluble fiber, and powerful antioxidants that protect brain cells. Blueberry or purple grape juice, for example, contains anthocyanins, compounds shown to improve memory and slow cognitive decline, because fruit also has natural sugars. The best way is to dilute juice with water in a 1-to-1 ratio. That way, you preserve nutrients without causing a sharp spike in blood sugar. Another excellent choice, especially in the evening, is herbal tea. Unlike strong black or oolong teas that are loaded with caffeine, herbal teas such as chamomile, peppermint, or ginger calm the nervous system and promote sleep. Quality sleep is the brain's most natural form of therapy, because during deep rest, the brain clears away waste proteins, including amyloid, the very substance linked to Alzheimer's disease. Many older adults who switched from vitamin waters or sodas to a warm cup of chamomile tea at night reported better sleep and sharper mornings. Fresh coconut water is another refreshing and safe option. It naturally replenishes electrolytes like potassium, which support blood pressure and nerve muscle function. Unlike industrial vitamin waters, coconut water has no artificial sweeteners or dyes. For adults over 60, a small glass a few times a week is plenty to support circulation and mental clarity. Warm water with a slice of ginger or lemon is another traditional but science-backed choice. Ginger contains gingerol, a compound with strong anti-inflammatory effects, while lemon provides true vitamin C. Together, they create a drink that aids digestion, improves circulation, and protects brain health. What all of these options share is that they deliver genuine nutrients without exposing the body to refined sugar or artificial sweeteners. They are easy to find, inexpensive, and can become part of daily life. Of course, changing habits doesn't happen overnight. If you're used to bottled vitamin waters, start by cutting back gradually. For instance, if you drink 1 bottle a day, replace half with water flavored naturally with fruit slices. After a few weeks, your body adapts, and your taste buds grow cleaner, no longer craving the artificial sweetness. In practice, many patients who gave up bottled vitamin waters and replaced them with fresh juice or herbal tea said they felt healthier, slept better, and even noticed improved memory. These small daily swaps truly add up to big differences in brain health. So rather than reaching for those glossy bottles of vitamin water, we can return to natural, wholesome drinks, familiar, simple, and effective. This is the smarter way to protect the brain after 60. At this point, we have all the pieces of the puzzle: the truth about minimal vitamin content, the burden of added sugar, the disruption from artificial sweeteners, the fire of inflammation and oxidative stress, and finally, the safer alternatives. Bid-to-eye. It's time to close this journey with a clear message you can carry with you. After looking at each layer, the true face of bottled vitamin water becomes clear. It is marketed as healthy, yet it hides real risks for the brain, especially after 60. The vitamins inside are too few to matter, while the added sugars push blood sugar on a roller coaster that leaves nerve cells exhausted. Sugar-free versions only swap the problem for artificial sweeteners, which disrupt the gut-brain connection and raise dementia risk. All of these factors combine, fueling inflammation and oxidative stress, the fertile ground for Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases. The only true solution is to choose natural, safe, and familiar drinks: plain water, diluted fruit juice, calming herbal teas, or fresh coconut water. The core message I want you to remember is this: don't let bottles labeled vitamin mislead you, because the real price could be your clarity and your memories. Just one small change in your daily drinking habits can keep your brain strong and steady for years to come. If you found today's topic helpful, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below which daily drink are you most ready to change first to protect your memory.